Hi everyone, so this video really doesn't have like a certain direction or anything. It's just something that I was kind of thinking about. So, a little while ago, somebody had commented on one of my videos on a subject revolving around Wicca. I believe it might have been my CX Wiccan one. And I had mentioned that I'm sort of monotheistic. And they had replied, how could I be if I was Wiccan? Because the whole dual theology thing and such. And while I see their point, I really don't fully consider myself Wiccan just because there's different paths I'm researching, and I'm still researching in Wicca, but I think I have a lot of Wiccan, Neo-Wiccan, whichever one you want to call it, beliefs, but I don't know if I fully call myself a Wiccan. And if you are, that's fine. If you're mixed like me in your path, that's fine. If you believe in dual theology, that's fine. If you're hard polytheist, monotheist, whatever, to me, your path is your path. Me personally, I don't see a problem with worshiping more than one pantheon. But again, that's just me. You don't have to agree. Just keep disagreements, mature and civil. The thing, though, is that I don't know what I would label my path as. Well, not just that, but my theological view. What I believe is that there is one creator. There's one creator with thousands of forms and names and everything else. There's so many cultures around the world. They have called God or the gods, whichever, by so many different names there and so many different attributes associated with them, both mental and physical and other things. I know Zeus is associated with the weather, besides being king of gods. There's Kali, who is associated with darkness in an aspect that's not evil. She is not evil, but I have heard her destroying ignorance, her being a loving mother. There's Saraswati, goddess of knowledge, goddess of learning. I believe music, science, all that stuff is in there. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, who also is like a warrior type goddess. There's just so many of them. And there are people who believe these are separate beings. I don't personally agree with that. I have no problem with people who think that way and everything. I'm totally open to everyone's beliefs. It's just not how I see it. To me, like I said, I believe in one supreme being. I kind of like the Sanatana Dharma or Hindu concept of Brahman and kind of how a lot of them see their deities. Now, Hinduism is also very vast in theological view, from my knowledge. In fact, there are atheistic Hindus. I've talked to some of them online who see the gods more as symbols. Now, I don't see it that way. Like I said, I actually believe in a creator, but I'm not a hard polytheist. The thing is, some people might say that I'm not even a monotheist because I don't pray to one deity. Oh, sorry, I needed a drink there. And I've heard of inclusive monotheism and soft polytheism. I've heard of monolatry. And it's like, I really don't know. Like, I'm not really sure what I would label it, and I'm not really big into labels or whatever, I'm still, on my journey and everything, but, if somebody asks, I'd be kind of like, I don't know. Because some people would tell me if I said I'm monotheistic that I'd be wrong. And if I said I'm polytheist, people would also maybe say I'm wrong. We're soft polytheists, inclusive monotheists, whatever. There are people who would probably argue with me because I'm not a polytheist that I can't even be a pagan. Which I've heard that argument, not to me like personally, like solely to me, but in general I've heard that because people are kind of stuck on this pagan means many gods things, which it doesn't. A lot of the people they called pagans years ago did worship other gods, but different gods, but that's not really, from my understanding, what the original Latin term actually meant. It's just that they happen to do that. Sort of kind of like how the word virgin really wasn't associated with sex at one point. But, words were kind of associated with things, and then they kind of became the definition of that later on. For me, being a pagan means seeing the divine in nature, and that's kind of how I define it. I don't think you have to believe in separate godly beings. Like I said, there are atheistic ones. Hinduism being an example. I'm not really sure about other paths. The thing about Wicca is that it seems a little bit more flexible compared to, say, Asatru or Cometicism, or maybe like Celtic paganism. I think all of them are pretty hard polytheistic. I'm not totally sure if there's any variation in them because I don't know a whole lot, so I'm not really going to speak about those because I don't talk about stuff that I know nothing about that fully to give you information on. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I was just kind of thinking, like, what would I call myself if I was to call myself anything? And, like, Wicca is really varied, too, because there are things that I hear that are Wiccan, and other people say, no, that's not real Wicca and everything. There are people who believe that you have to be initiated, that only, like, the British traditional ones are real Wicca and stuff, and they kind of discredit like eclectics and stuff like that. And there are other ones that, of course, that are just fine with people doing their own thing. And so that's another thing too, is while I like Wicca, like I said, I don't know if I would actually qualify as a Wiccan. My first introduction to Wicca, besides hearing about the religion, was this. Now, this actually isn't the original book that I read. This one right here is, oh my god, I lost my freaking page! The 3rd edition. Yes, that's the 3rd edition. Oh, wait, I think I'm back on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I read the second one first, and then they're all kind of the same, really. All 3 editions here really kind of had the same thing in them. I think maybe one has a little bit more than the other. They go a little bit deeper, but it really doesn't matter. Which one you get? Oh, get a little tired here. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. They kind of all have the same information. But I did agree with what some of this said, and I know a lot of people, like a lot of Wiccans and even witches and stuff, may not. So, in the book here, they talk about deity, okay, God, basically. In this passage here, I agree and I disagree. So here's what it says. Before creation of the earth, there was the All. The All existed in knowing, stillness, and silence. Okay, I believe that. I believe there was a God before creation. The All, a female spirit, was alone. She created her other half, the male spirit. This is kind of where I really disagree. Because within religions like Christianity, Islam, um, stuff like that, I really disagree with the idea of God being solely male and only the father and this and that. And this is kind of the opposite. And the thing about it is that us women, we have enough problems with with being accepted in certain things and having we've had to fight for certain rights and everything. And I'm not like an anti-progressive person. I'm not a deeply conservative person. The thing is that I notice, like, and I don't want to call them social justice warriors, but I do notice that when it comes to men's issues, a lot of women will shut it down and everything, and they don't care about stuff that happens to men, even if it's kind of the same thing that happened to them. And I'm a believer that, you don't progress by doing to somebody else what was done to you. The thing is to end it. It's to end that separation, that oppression, that prejudice and everything. And, we hear about this male God all the time, and that how women never can see themselves in God because everything is male dominated and women are second and everything else. And, I just don't agree with stuff like this when you talk about God being fully female, because we are so against God being labeled as solely male all the time. So I don't see why it's okay that it's a female who created a male. I don't think God truly has a gender, and that made me going against paganism again. I think the feminine and masculine aspects are more symbolic. I believe God is beyond gender. God is beyond physical form. I believe God can take physical form. I believe, a piece of God lives in all creation. I mean, even from a biblical perspective and everything. In the beginning there was God and he created the world and everything. Well, if there's nothing but God, then God had to create things from himself or herself, whichever. But the thing is that I believe the male and female aspects are equal. Everything in creation is equal. Yes, it may be different, but it's like, I don't know, like men and women, I noticed, like, they try to step on top of each other and everything. A lot of them will do this different but equal, but then the way they talk, it seems they find ways to show superiority. And I don't just mean men either. I am talking about women too. I mean, some will even go to the extent that they're better because they're mothers and everything, and even better because they're housewives and stuff like that, and they give life or whatever, and they're more superior and everything. No, I believe people are equal. And, maybe these people here believe that God was a female spirit or whatever, just like a lot of Christians believe that God is the Father or whatever. I'm not here to bash anyone. I kind of disagree with that. I think God is beyond male and female. And that's kind of just shown for us. I believe it's equal. I don't think one created the other. So, basically it says she created the male half. They intertwined. Even though they are now two separate spirits, they were still one, two halves of a whole. Now that I do agree with. Like I said, I believe there is one God with many forms, and it has a male and a female side. On earth they made water, land, plants, animals, and humans. It's both male and female, I agree with that. No one part is better than the other. Again, I agree with that. I just don't agree with the first part, because it kind of says that one created the other. So while I know that probably wasn't their intention, and that's not the intention of the belief here, a lot of people take those ideas And again, superiority. And of course it goes on about how the god chose the sun and the goddess chose the moon and why they're symbols and stuff like that. In witchcraft, you pay homage to both the god and the goddess. Disagree. It really depends on your beliefs, and not all witches are, they don't all have a Wiccan religion, or some aren't even pagan. As manifestations of the all, many Wiccans choose to focus primarily on the goddess. I guess that depends on your tradition. As Denise explains it, Wiccans are more into the goddess because she's nurturing and compassionate. So I haven't really found my matron and patrons yet. Like, I think I know who they are, but the thing is that some people may say that picking your gods aren't like really them being your patron gods. But I feel a connection to Jesus coming from a Christian background, and Kali, which really are kind of opposites, but also they have similarities. They are loving parents in their own ways. Wiccans make the goddess their focus to make up for hundreds of years of domination by male-centered religions. Agree and disagree. The thing is, yes, it's been a few hundred years that Christianity has really dominated, but there are also variations in Christianity. There are different, denominations and stuff that view women and stuff different ways. Some don't all see women as to be submissive and stuff like that. And the thing is, we've had religions for thousands of years that have worshipped female gods. And they go on that the goddess is the nurturing aspect of the all and stuff, and motherhood, and she's there to love us, shield us, help us learn and grow. And then they go on to the Lord, which is the male aspect. He is wild, playful, lusty aspect of deity. Kind of iffy on that last one. Again, I love this book when I first got it and everything, and I still do. It has a lot of great things in it for beginners. It's just some of the ideas of God I don't totally agree with, because some of them kind of seem stereotypical to me. So, yeah, it's like, when I read about the gods and everything, some of their stories kind of, not just their stories, their images, their symbols, what they stand for, some of them kind of resonate with me and everything, and I feel like I can pray to God in that way. But I may not feel the same way about another god in the same pantheon. To me, I take what feels right to me, what makes sense to me. So, like I said, I really don't know what I would call myself. I just know what I believe in everything. But anyways, it's kind of a rambly video. I wanted to talk about more pagan-y stuff and everything, because I haven't been doing that lately. I've been really focused on this writing and this Vlogmas thing, so it's kind of nice to get a spiritual type talk in there. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Mom, that was nice.